Thank you for listening. This is the Legends podcast by All Day Vinyl, and I'm your host, Scott Dudelson. After you finish this episode, please subscribe, rate, and check us out on Instagram and YouTube at All Day Vinyl. Today, I'm excited to speak with a rock and roll legend. As lead singer, guitarist, and songwriter for Grand Funk Railroad, my guest released 13 albums between 1969 and 1976 and recorded many classic songs like I'm Your Captain, We're an American Band, the definitive cover of Some Kind of Wonderful, and a personal favorite deep cut of mine, one of my favorite songs of the 70s from this album. It's called Nothing Is the Same. Love that track. Since his time in Grand Funk Railroad, my guest has released a number of solo albums, including a recent 2024 release called Closer to My Home, which was produced by Mark Slaughter of the band Slaughter. I'm excited today to chat about this new music and his amazing legacy with Grand Funk Railroad. I'm pleased to introduce to you Mark Farner. Hey, Mark.
Hey, Scott. Good to be here with you, brother.
Great to be here with you too. So thank you. Let's start. There's a lot to talk about. You have new music and you have an amazing legacy. And I want to start though with the new music because it ties in directly with the legacy. The new music, Closer to My Home, which you just released middle 2024. Tell me about the impetus of the record and how you connected with Mark Slaughter of the great 80s rock band Slaughter.
Well, the record has been, over the years, I've been accumulating. I've got a lot of songs. I got tidbits. I've got whole songs. I've got pieces of songs. I've got choruses. I've got verses to other songs that don't have choruses. I mean, they're in every sort of imaginable form that you could think of. And I got some of them are on cassette tape, Scott.
Oh yeah, are these stuff from the 70s even, or is it? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, man. So, and I'm looking forward to putting some of that stuff down. It is still relevant. The message is still relevant. And with me, it's always going to be about love. It's always going to be about forgiveness. Because without this love and forgiveness, we are going to have no peace here.
that's right. That's
And
right.
our personal peace, comes from the understanding of that very thing, that we are responsible for that. And we are the only ones who can set ourselves free from the indebtedness that keeps us from achieving this. But it is achievable.
Yeah, man. You express that a lot in that obviously goes through the record in the first song, which is Anymore, the title track. It's all about forgiveness and love, and it harkens back obviously to Grand Funk days. You talk about forgiveness with your bandmates, and I can't help but notice in the lyrics you talk about keep on shining on, which I'm imagining it must be a direct reference back to Shining On.
Yeah, you're a smart guy, Scott.
Thanks, bro. I just love your music. I appreciate what you do.
All right. Good man.
So tell me about the song and where I know where in your heart that came from, but what was the impetus to put that out into the world, which is obviously a message to your bandmates as well.
Yes. It's not just the bandmates. It's not just that one, incident that occurred during my lifetime, but it's about I think everyone can relate to having uh conf confirmed and having you committed to something with someone, and that someone had other ideas that you didn't know about expressly in the beginning during your conversation, but it was all, hey, great, great, great. Let's do this. I can do this. I can do, yeah, that's great. Okay. And then it falls flat on its face, and you start to get the understanding that you may be a little vulnerable in your naivety
Hmm.
and you're gullible. You are. I mean, we are as human beings. Because if you take someone at their word, then you're gullible. Isn't that a crime, dude? I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
that is,
Yeah,
that's a,
you can't trust the heart or follow the heart.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And so many relationships. have been ruined because of that. And I think it is the plan, I say, of the evil one, the dark one, the one who can't be satisfied because it is part of the darkness plan to confuse us, to take advantage of that innocence, uh, like a child, the innocent child. You know, uh, we all start with that. And then as we are offended by the abuse of that, then we start rolling rocks in front of the door that are bigger and bigger and bigger and harder to get around. And along with that comes an attitude. It does.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something, Brother Scott. That attitude, that's what they want. That's what the darkness wants. Doesn't want you to just dissolve that and spit it out. I mean, gone. You chew it up and spit it out, and you just smile and get your heart into this world we're living in, and you'll come out of it all right. If we keep backing off, if we keep allowing this darkness to offset us, and this is what my music and this album in particular is all about. There's a lot of love in there. And with Scott, with Slaughter, he's he's all love. He is a hard guy not to love. Seriously, he's honest. He's straightforward. He'll say what's on his mind. He don't give a shit if you don't care. He's going to say it. I love that about him.
Yeah.
And I've never had any conflicts with him because we both see the same on that. And I think because of that, together, the unity of us two guys, dude, it was mainly him and I that recorded this. We had some drummers that we hired to do, hired guns to do some parts, but him and I did most of the instrumentation, including the bass, the guitar, the keyboards, vocals. We both sang vocals. He sang backgrounds. I sang the leads. And then I sang backgrounds with him, standing side by side at the microphone, dude. It was like, it's supposed to happen. It's time for this record, and it's time for the message. It's time to exaggerate this message and get it out because there's a lot of hurting people,
Yeah.
especially right now,
Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely. I
it,
think
in this whole world.
Absolutely. I think back to this message that you're sharing right now, and when you think back to your 18-year-old self, the 19-year-old self, when you're writing stuff like close to home, which you revisited on this new album, Close to My Home. It's that same philosophy and that same love seems to shine through it. Do you feel that connection, that through line between your 20-year-old self and the you now, and how you're approaching music?
Absolutely. And in light of what I spoke about, the innocence,
Yeah.
how that gets taken advantage of. Don and I were 20. Mel was 19 when this band started, when Grand Funk started. And I wrote all the music that sold out Shea Stadium. No one had it, no other writers were in the band at that point. It was just me writing all those songs. So that showing up on stage, I think that gullibility, that innocence kind of shone through in the lyrics that I'm reaching out like, you know, with reckless abandon,
Yeah.
dude. I
Yeah.
am reaching out to my brothers and sisters. They got it.
Yeah.
They got it. And you got it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in there. And why is it? It's not because wrote these songs. It's because I've been praying about this. I've been petitioning love, because God is love. And love is defined in one word, forgiveness. And if we can get that, if I can go to the audience and I can relate that in music and somebody gets it, just if just one person gets it, dude, I am fulfilled. That's my purpose on this earth, to just let people discover it on their own, but help them. You know, it's not like I'm leading, I'm just helping to open that heart enough so that love can reach in there and get a hold of it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you gonna go out and play some of these songs live?
Oh,
Do a tour? Yeah,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, we just did a cruise a couple of weeks ago. We were on a ship that left out of Fort Lauderdale and went to Cozumel, Mexico. And dude, we were on the main deck. The winds were blowing 45 miles an hour. My hat goes what out into the audience, and those blessed people, they handed it. They kept right, like right back up
Got it
to
right
me.
back to you. That's,
Yeah, and it helps. It helps keep the hair out of my mouth, with the wind blowing. But what a great bunch of people! And I played. Uh, of course, I played this single, and and people loved it. It came off so good. It's the intention.
yeah, yeah, the message for
It,
sure.
it- and 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 dude, I have guys that are playing with me, brother, that are committed to that love that you and I are speaking about. Now, it, even though you're, I don't know how many miles away, we can instantly agree on this topic of love and the purpose of that love and the fulfillment of that love in many capacities. But on that boat, buddy, we were all locked in there, 45-mile-an-hour wind blowing across the stage. I'm going, how the hell are we going to do this? But love made a way. You know,
Always.
two shows, two shows in 3 days, and they were both on the main deck overlooking the pool, and the people loved it.
That's
That's all I
great.
can tell you, man. People loved it, and they appreciated our being genuine and not hiding from people. I know some of the acts don't want to talk to the people. I'm going, my God, these are the people that put us on that stage. These are the people that made us who we are in the rock history. If we don't have a time or a smile, a handshake, just some kind of encounter, if we're not open to that, man, we're pretty we're out of it,
I
you
love
know.
that. I love that. Can I ask you some questions about some of the early days in Grand Funk, even
Yeah.
pre Grand Funk? So I'm a music history buff. I love music history, and Michigan, Detroit, Flint, Ann Arbor, all the surrounding areas was just in the '60s a mecca of amazing music. For whether it was Motown or you have the Stooges, the MC5, Quest, Seeger, and
Yeah.
I'm curious. And you were a young man at that time. As that scene was blossoming, what was your relationship to music at that time and those music scenes and the local music from Michigan prior to Grand Funk?
Well, brother, I was coming up in it. I was trying to uh, write music too at the same time, but I was being exposed to some of the great bands, MC5, the Rationals, man. Oh my God, those guys, they killed me.
Yeah, I don't know
Oh
them. I got to check this out. They put out any singles?
yeah,
Yeah, sweet.
Scott Morgan, the singer, lead singer, man, what a great voice and just the energy. Just the energy, the right, no, no ego stuff. Just had it in him. Just his soul coming out of his mouth into the microphone. Great guy. What a great guy. And seeing MC5, playing with them and the Stooges down at the State Fair in Detroit, and being on a bill to have all of these Michigan
Wow.
acts.
Wow.
It was wonderful. And Wayne Kramer, God rest his soul, I got to play with him on Alice Cooper's Breadcrumb albums, uh, and get to know him a little better. He was such a marvelous human being. In fact, that session at the Rust Belt Studio in Detroit produced a relationship between my current bass player, Paul Randolph, and myself. I'd never heard of Paul. And I asked him after we did this studio sessions, can you can you imagine yourself playing with Mark Farner's American band? So he says, I probably know all your music already. And he's turned out to be a great addition to the Mark Farner's American band. And everybody, we are, right here. Everybody's
Yeah.
the same. We all have the same thing in mind. We want to dress to impress. That's our thing for going on stage. You don't just go out there with a t-shirt and dungarees or whatever. I want my fans to know that I appreciate them putting me up there. And I learned a lot of that from Ringo when I was out with him in 1995, Scott.
Yeah, tell me. I want to go back to Detroit, but you just brought up Ringo, and obviously that was an amazing. I think it was John Entwistle and right
Yeah,
Billy Preston,
Billy
maybe.
Preston,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
Randy.
share the learning, the wisdom of Ringo. Ringo's all about peace and love. That must have been
Yes.
yeah,
It, but there was a time, I don't know if you know this, but he put this link out on YouTube telling people, don't send me any more stuff to autograph. Don't send me your albums. Don't send me the records. Don't send me the picture. Don't send anything. He's just emphatic about this. He says because they're going to go right in the dumpster. They're going to go right in the trash. You won't get them back. Don't bother sending me anything. Because at that point, he had just been fed up with. And that I saw that video just prior to us getting together to rehearse out in Vancouver to for the first leg of the trip, which was in Japan. So we are out there and we get all rehearsed up in 2 weeks. We were there. My family was with me. I had my three sons and my wife. They were staying in this apartment that I was in. And Ringo came up and introduced himself to the boys. It was great. He's just a down to earth guy.
yeah,
Uh, really, in his heart, he's just a down to earth guy. But he's so recognizable, dude. He puts a baseball cap,
yeah,
sunglasses on. He looks like Ringo with a
yeah.
baseball cap and sunglasses.
He'd be more unrecognizable even if he didn't have the sunglasses.
Word.
Right.
That's it. In in Japan, we are doing a press conference and we are up on this podium with a great big long table with chairs down both sides. Ringo's sitting in the center and the band is sitting down both sides, kind of like the Last Supper, but with Ringo instead of Jesus. Anyways, this gal comes up, the Japanese young gal. She said, I would like to ask Mr. Farner a question. So I stand up, right? Being courteous, and I hear her say, what is it like playing with Beto? And I went, let me tell you something, honey. Ringo puts his pants on one leg at a time, just like I do. And he got up, man. He came down and he hugged me, Scott. He said, thank you, thank you, thank you for recognizing as a man, just for being somebody who does put his pants on one
Yeah,
leg at a time. Because he, was so eat up with trying to have a life that wasn't picked apart by every fan that wanted, oh, it's a Beatle, it's a Beatle. Oh, pick up his napkin about, oh, was that his straw? Let's keep that straw. You
right,
know,
right. The fandom's crazy.
yeah.
Yeah,
So great guy, and him and Barbara, what a great couple. They're health nuts as far as the eating habits before and after a stage performance. Um, he just takes care of himself. He's an older Beatle.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you this because you're talking about how recognizable he is, and the fandom. I mean, when in the early '70s, you all obviously sold out Shea Stadium, and you had that fandom. What was your reaction towards it? How did you approach it? And was it scary? Was it exciting? What were the emotions around that?
I think the I could walk in I would pull my hair back. I didn't walk around with my hair down. When you got that, my hair was down to my waist at one time. When you got that kind of hair, you don't want it all, in your mouth and in your guitar strings and what you're doing. So you pull it back, and I could walk about any place in New York City, go into, a deli, get something to eat. Nobody knew who I was.
Mm,
Seriously. They knew the music, but they didn't know this face. And it's kind of like what I've experienced no matter where I've been. And if somebody does recognize me and want an autograph, I sign the autograph. It's kind of, I watched as Alice, he's eating, he could be midstream. He could have that fork 3 inches from his
yeah,
mouth and his mouth open, and somebody say, "Will you sign this?" He puts the bite down and signs the damn album. That's where he's at. And I thought that's some humble stuff right
that's
there.
class.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that about somebody who will make that person's day. They love him that much to, they come out of the back. They're the cooks cooking his food.
yeah,
They
yeah.
want an autograph. Man, what a great thing.
That's awesome. And who when you were up and coming and starting to write music, who were you crazy about? Who were the artists that you had extreme fandom for?
Well, Jimi Hendrix was my guitar god. I loved the way he could make that guitar sing. He could make it talk. He could make it cry. He had a relationship with that guitar. And I admired that so much about him. And Jeff Beck,
Yeah.
you know, uh, unconventional, but great voicing. I saw Jeff Beck at the IMA Auditorium in Flint, Michigan with the Yardbirds.
Oh wow,
Yeah, dude.
dude.
And he stood that Telecaster on its edge on the stage, had it turned wide open, and it went back to the amp, and the amps just scream, and he's going like he's the one doing this stuff. He's like, hey, he's getting some theater in there.
Yeah.
And I so appreciated being side stage. Our manager got us in there, got my band at the, I think it was Mojo and the Nightwalkers at the time, got us in there to watch the Yardbirds because he knew that we were great fans of the Yardbirds, and especially Train Kept a Rolling.
Mm,
Jeff Beck, man, his solo
yeah.
on, forget about it. After when the show was over, those guys left. They got in a limo and they were gone. And so we go up. We want to see, we want to check out the dressing room. Maybe they left something. Maybe they left something up there. So, us young guys go up in there and say, "What is that funny smell? What is?" That's the first time we ever smelled pot, man.
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah,
Did
good.
you ever have a chance to play with or meet Jimmy or Jeff Beck?
Oh yeah, Jimmy for sure. I got to hang with him. We didn't play music. We talked about fishing. We talked about the country. We talked about relationships. But, the first thing out of my mouth when he's standing in my dressing room at the Capitol Theater, upstate New York, and my manager, Terry Knight, opens the dressing room door, and here's Jimi Hendrix in my dressing room with his hat on, that big black hat, and dressed, man. I mean, and he just smiling. The most intelligent thing I could come up with to say was, "You're a great guitar player, man." I tell you. Oh, but I was starstruck for sure. But I got to hang with him a few times after that, and I was sad when he checked out. But I knew what got him, and um, it
Yeah,
got a lot of talent. It got a lot of my brothers and sisters in the music business.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, why do you think it was it's still very prevalent in different ways now in the music industry, but why in the late 60s and 70s was it just the lack of knowledge what some of these things do, or was it a time of just hedonism or a time of freedom like that?
Well, the people were using, LSD and mescaline and things, getting into part of their minds that they'd
Right.
never been before,
Sure.
right? And even at the first Atlanta Pop Festival in Atlanta, Georgia, 185,000 people, they had a medical tent set up backstage for people who had overdosed. And that because this is the first time that, I mean, for a lot of people that they were experimenting, but they thought it was part of the peace and love, innocence, part of that innocent gullibility that we have as human beings. And I think that even in Jimmy, as accomplished as he was as a musician, that he was still a child in his in that vulnerability. In his mind, it was part of that peace and love. And listen to the lyrics of his songs. He wasn't angry at anybody. He was looking for that love, looking for that acceptance. And the biggest thing that any of us fear is rejection. So we do things in order not to be rejected, brother, which is a you know, bad choice. If you're just don't want to be rejected and you do something, uh-uh. But th you know, we've had to use these hard lessons. This is what forms us. This is what makes us stay away from that shit.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You just mentioned the Atlanta Pop Festival, which was right. Am I correct in thinking this was recorded in part there?
Yeah, I think there was
Yeah.
three different uh fest or actual gigs that was recorded uh from my understanding, and definitely Atlanta. Those people, man, wow, did they rock.
Yeah, tell me about it, because that if I'm correct in thinking the year before this was one of your first live shows at the Atlanta Festival, which blew you open, and then by the time you went to the second year, you guys were stars.
Yeah.
What was those experiences?
Well, that first time, we didn't even have a record. Nobody had ever heard of Grand Funk Railroad before. The guy that was the stage announcer, in three different occasions, introducing us the first, the second, and the third day, he never pronounced the name of the band correctly.
How do you get it wrong?
I think it was the Kool-Aid dude.
Yeah, there you go. That makes sense.
That's what I blame it on. But the people loved us right from the get. Even getting there, and having a roll the U-Haul trailer that all of our equipment was in, and we had to get another trailer and take all the stuff and put it in this new trailer and doing, kind of a count of, man, what have we got that works? What do we got left? What are we going to do this show with? Oh my God. So when we get there, uh, all these other roadies backstage from 10 years after and Joplin and Credence, a lot of the roadies saw our predicament and they were like swarmed in, soldering wires together, helping us assemble our amplifiers so we could make the deadline of noon. We could open that show. And dude, it was like just maybe 2 minutes and it was up there. And then we had to go right on. That's how close it was. But
Wow.
I remember that unity of those guys helping. It wasn't like, you're on your own, buddy. It was love, man. It was something that's not there today. It might be if the two bands know each other or, but when you got that many groups, it's all like,
Yeah.
you know, it was great.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I took away from that festival. It was, we were unheard of. We went on at noon the first day, 7 p.m. the second day, and 11 p.m. the third day. We went right up,
Yeah.
and the rest is history.
Did you have a record deal at that point?
No, we
No.
did not have a record deal. It was after that show that Terry Knight signed a production deal with Capitol Records.
And the songs that are on that first record, on time, were those written? Was that essentially the songs that you played at the pop festival, and ultimately, yeah,
Absolutely, yes. Uh, the only thing, I mean, we threw a couple of songs that were good, crowd pleasers where we had played before when we weren't Grand Funk, but we were with different bands. And one of them is Land of a Thousand Dances, Wilson Pickett
yeah,
style.
yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. It, it it got everybody up. It got I'm talking it got 185,000 people on their feet dancing, man, boogieing, and they didn't want us to leave the stage.
Yeah,
They were there to party and to have a great time. And that innocence that was on this band, this three-piece band, this garage band from Flint, Michigan, it was, man, it was embraced by
yeah.
everybody. And the word went out. That was part of what was supposed to have happened.
And then you recorded a lot of music in a really really short period of time. So like this second album right here, I think was recorded a few months after the first one was released. Were you writing these songs prior, or was this all coming?
It was all coming to me. Scott,
Really?
I would be on an airplane and the thoughts would start coming and give me something to write. And I got it. I got to write this down so I don't forget it. It was before, a long time before cell phones. So
Yeah,
I could just speak it into the dictation of it, and bring it. Now, if I get something, I could just hum it into the phone and recall it 2, 3 months later, and get right to it. But back then, it was on the fly,
yeah,
definitely on the fly. And the lessons that we were getting, being exposed to the culture, here we are in our own country having culture shock going from this, because we're just country boys and we're going into the big cities. And, you know, there's a lot to write about when you're waking up.
yeah, yeah. And with the second album, were you touring after on time and as this came out?
Yes.
That's how you were starting to build the traction.
Yep.
Why? I mean, maybe it's a naive question. I don't know, but like the amount of music you released in that short period of time, was that like contractual, or were you just flowing with ideas and music? Because it's a
Just flowing.
lot. Yeah,
Yeah. Just flowing, man. And when Terry Knight would say, "Have you got enough to do an album?" I'd go, "I think so." If not, I can whip up a couple. Ah, it was good, fertile ground, man. It was, the wake up
yeah.
from being this country boy to being a country boy with eyes wide open.
Was there band unity at that point? Were you guys
Yeah,
a cohesive unit of trying to take over and kick ass?
yeah, man. And we were, uh, you know, complimenting each other. We were staying tight. There wasn't the jealousy and all that enters into bands and breaks them up. There wasn't the envy and whatever, all of that stuff, the strife that comes along when somebody thinks they need to be making the money. And in order to do that, they need to share what you got. They
Right.
need some of what you got. It's okay though. It's all right. I've kind of like because I'm a creative guy, there's been a lot of people that realize that I'm a creative guy, and not just musicians, but other people that, that like to, because they have the promotion ability, they have the connections to promote, they're looking for stuff and looking for creative people so that they can maybe get a little of that themselves.
Absolutely. Let me ask you about this album and the song "I'm Your Captain," closer to home, because that's obviously the you re-recorded on the new album "Closer to My Home," and I read
Yeah.
that you wrote that, and that's was an anthem. I mean, I was not around at that time, but I've know the song and I know the legacy of it. And what I read is you wrote that in one sitting straight. Is that a truth? Yeah.
I woke up, I prayed for that song, and I didn't realize because I write not so much songs, just write stuff that comes to me in the middle of the night, or the early morning, the wee hours. I keep a steno pad next to my bed so that I can just set up and jot it down, whatever it is, because I've lost some of the best shit, brother. I think I'm dreaming, and here's this song in my dream, man. I'm going, oh, this song's a hit, man. And I'm so lazy, I won't wake myself up to write it down. And I was, oh, I'll remember this in the morning. I never remembered, not even one lyric that was in. I mean, so I have trained myself over the years. If I get an idea, I just write it down. But this night, I prayed to God to give me a song that would reach and touch the hearts of those that God wanted to get to. That was my honest, open prayer. And because God is love, love touched me in such a way that night that I was suspended in this sense of being, uh, somewhere between heaven and earth. And it was a wonderful place to be. I didn't take any drugs. I didn't smoke any dope. I didn't drink any alcohol. I was straight as straight could be, but I was fully cognizant of this wonderful place. And all these words started coming. And I just started, oh my God. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Wow, that's crazy. Whoa, yeah. Oh, and it just came, like you say, in one setting, it was just, and when I was finished with the last word, dude, I was spent. My energy was gone. I mean, it was like somebody, they pulled the plug and I went back under the sheet. And, I didn't wake up, didn't dream, didn't, from that point on until morning when I got up and I went and made my coffee and I'm sitting there watching the horses out in the pasture and I'm drinking a cup of coffee. We call it a coffee cuppy. Uh, Having a coffee cuppy there, and I grabbed my acoustic guitar and start playing, bop, 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 do 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 do, doing that little lick on the intro. And I go, oh, that's pretty cool. And I hit this inversion of a C chord that is chiming out with these harmonics that I'm not familiar with, but it was a beautiful tone to me with that guitar. And so I start strumming and I'm playing, and then as I'm thinking about it, all of a sudden my mind went, those words in the other room. Maybe that's lyrics to a song that you are, because that's the way music has come to me all my life. These chords, a lot of times it's chords first.
Mhm.
Most of the time it's chord first. And then I am under the influence of the music. I try to make myself vulnerable to which way this is going. What does this song mean? What is it doing for me? How's it making me feel? Am I energized by this? Am I wanting to say something? I'm always wanting to say something, man. I want to bring people together. I want people to be united by love. But in this song, I I got those. lyrics from the bedroom, laid them on the kitchen table, and I pushed the record button on my little Sony cassette player recorder, and I played it in there, and I took it to rehearsal that day. We worked on it, and when I got to Cleveland, we were doing the Upbeat show. That's a back then it was a syndicated show that was in Detroit and Chicago and Cleveland. It was, it was just kind of regional. But it was like a rock and roll dance. You got the dancers and the people that from the audience would dance, and you'd have the Four Tops or Smokey Robinson. You have Mitch Ryder and the Detroit
Oh,
Wheels. You have James Brown, Otis Redding. You have all these people that show up and play or lip sync their music, and then you know it was a teenage thing, but my mom and dad loved it too because all these acts they were real acts, and watching them animate their songs, and that's part of what got me into you know exaggerating my moves on stage was that the understanding of people wanting to move, loving to see other people move and dance. I love to watch somebody who's really getting into the music.
yeah.
I like to see what that music, the influence it has on their bodies. Like, man, Michael Jackson, are you kidding me? There's an influence. There's
Totally.
somebody who could dance to that music, man. James Brown.
James Brown, yeah.
Yeah, man. Everybody that gets that music gets a hold of your spinal cord and just starts.
Well, you emulate it well. I mean, you can even tell when you just look at any of these covers, these pictures of you and Mel and Don, like y'all are kicking ass. You're moving. I think this one too's got, yeah,
Yeah, brother.
yeah. You're,
The
the performance is top notch. I love watching footage of y'all back in the day. It's
All
fucking
right.
kicks
Thank you.
ass,
I
kicks ass.
appreciate that.
And like something like this, when you're doing a live album, what comes into the decision to not? It's a lot of live albums will re-record, they'll overdub. This explicitly on the back, is the sign of authenticity. It says there's no overdubs. This is the show, start to
Yes.
finish, as you would see a concert.
Yes. Because even when we were doing recording, Scott, if there was, and there were several times when the guitar would feedback, it wasn't on purpose, but it was there, or there was a little glitch. But it's just being real because, nobody's perfect.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to have this perfect recording. Back then, brother, we didn't have a click track that you played to. Now I mean, for years and years and years, people play to a click track, and everybody kind of fits into that click track, and then they got this button that says humanize.
yeah,
So you humanize the perfect click to make it feel more like it. Uh, we played to the ups and downs of the drummers that were leading us, and I loved somebody who could play lead drums.
yeah, yeah,
They You really, they get revved up, they play a little faster. And some of the drummers, they are infamous for this as they're doing a fill. We call them a dump. When they're doing that dump, it's like they go around, they want to get there and play it so perfectly that they speed it up. And it's like the rest of the band has to, whoa, we got to catch up to that guy, man. He's like, whoa. And Brewer was like that. He's very excitable. But I think that's really,
yeah,
what made that record that you held up there, what made that so popular was the raw reality of the show and us uh, making a guitar squeal, not on purpose. It just did it because it wanted to, you know.
yeah,
And the drums rushed and they were lagging and dragging and rushing, and it was all over the place. But it was honest, and I think people got it. And because Terry Knight, when he mixed that, had the audience so, comparatively speaking, so with us. I mean, in volume. So when you heard somebody reacting to the music being played, it was easier to appreciate it and to become part of that listening experience.
Do you have, when you look back at the Grand Funk catalog, do you have a favorite album among there where you, not just favorite musically, but when you think about the experience of the recording, the experience of the tour, that time, that's your definitive period of your band and your time?
Yeah, the I'm Your Captain, of course, is my favorite Grand Funk song of
Well,
all.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's from Divine Inspirations. That,
Yeah. But E Pluribus Funk and the Red Album, uh, there's just some of that music that came
yeah,
so quickly.
yeah.
And, the inspiration that I had on E Pluribus Funk was uh, Stevie, from Humble Pie. Uh, he would sing and play that harmonica, and man, what Marriott was a
Badass,
talent. He,
badass. Oh yeah,
oh my God. And he says, I told Terry Nate, I said, we need to take this band because we were touring in Europe and Humble Pie was opening for us. I said, we need to take this band back to United States, man. They need to open for us there because these guys kick ass better than any other band that we had had for openers. And he said, you know something, you got an idea there. So D. Anthony was their manager, and they worked it out where they could be there at Shea Stadium to open our show for us.
wow.
And so I had talked to Marriott before they came, and told me, he says, um, I got a guitar I think you'd like. And I said, what is it? He said, it's a white, he called it a TV model. It's a SG, a Gibson SG. It's a TV model. He said the headstock got broke off of it, but somebody glued it back on there with some JB Weld, and it's holding out pretty good. I said, well, bring it with you, and I'll take a look at it for sure. And it was a great guitar. I wrote all of the songs on E Pluribus Funk on that guitar because it brought something out of me that my other guitar couldn't bring. I had the Messenger, which is that guitar right back there on top. I had her, but I couldn't make her sing the way that SG sung. And and a lot of people, a lot of guitarists have told me that they loved the E Pluribus Funk album more because of that, because of the guitar, the tone of it, and it seemed to be the leading the way. It was more guitar than any other album. And I bought that for $200 from Marriott, brother.
That's amazing. Do you still have that guitar?
No, I gave it
Yeah.
to my brother, and I don't know what he did with it. I got off the road one year. I I have given so much stuff to people because I try not to let things, um, become possess me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I possess them. And if somebody gives me something, it's not, I'll hang on to it for a while, but I'm not guarantee I'll have it forever. Somebody else might want it or need it. And I've given cars away, guitars, I've given trucks, I've given things. It's part of the reward of being able to give from a true heart because it makes me happy, dude. And to get to be that happy and that fulfilled, to make somebody's life, man, that's where I'm at with my life and with my giving. It's like that with my music and Farner chords on my website, showing people how I played this song, how I played that song. I had seen a lot of different YouTube things where people were trying to show how to play certain Grand Funk songs, and they were doing it wrong. They played the wrong chords. But I told my friend Jimmy Romeo, I said, dude, and he's a videographer from the down Detroit area. I said, I'm thinking I want to put my own up there. Could you help me do that? He says, man, I will help you do that. I won't charge you a cent. Are you kidding me? That if you're going to give it away, I'm going to help you give it away. So James Romeo, great talented guy, and I put together the Farner chords, and people have loved them.
Yeah,
It's a way for me to give. And even when I'm dead and gone, brother, those videos will still be giving to people. And if I get the reward of them playing it right and they go out and play in front of people that love to hear it right, what could be better than that?
absolutely, absolutely. Touching on the same question we're talking about gear. I emailed I posted a video and asked my audience, hey, if you have any questions for Mark, let me know and I'll try to ask them. And one of the questions I got was about the gear. They loved your guitar tone and the sound, and wondering what kind of gear you were using around this 1970, 69-ish, 70 era on some of these records.
I was using the Messenger that's back there
How
on
was that?
amp stack, and I was using West amplifiers. They were all tube, and we ran KT88 power tubes instead of the 6L6s that came in the amplifiers. We put KT88s because they had a little more balls, the English tubes. But the only problem we had, Brother Scott, was when we traveled, we'd have containers on great big jets full of these amplifiers and stuff. And when somebody would drop one of these huge transformers that we had on aluminum chassis would they'd dent the aluminum, the circuit board would bust in half. You have to solder all these traces back together. Oh my God, it
Oh,
was a nightmare. Uh, you'd have had to build them on a car frame in order to get them to stay in one piece, to make that trip. Oh my God, we had a lot of trouble with it. But man, did they have the balls. They really
yeah,
had balls.
they do. Yeah. And then another question, which was
Or
similar. And about 20 years ago, there was a CD that came out documenting the 1971 tour. And he told me he said, this is amazing, the 71 tour, even better. And he said, and one show, your guitar pedals got stolen, taken from the stage before, you remember this?
yeah, man.
Yeah, so he wants to know what the aftermath was. He said you got the pedals back, and you want to know if did you give the pedals back to the person, or did the roadies beat the shit out of the guy? Was
No,
his
no.
question.
We got it back from them, and I think it was we give them like $100 bill or something for bringing it back
Yeah, that's awesome.
to as a kind of like a little reward thing, right? Because I said, man, if they bring that back, we got to give them something, man. Uh, and it was whoever it was, this guy, it got to his conscience. And I wanted to make sure that we didn't just like, oh, you scumbag. No, it was, hey, you get caught up in the moment. God bless you, man. Everybody can get caught up in a moment, and to give him a little something for being honest enough to bring the damn thing back, bro.
Amazing, great story. That's great. And I've got one last question for you before we wrap. I'd be remiss to not ask because, in addition to being a big Grand Funk fan, I'm a big Frank Zappa fan, a big music fan, and obviously the final Grand Funk album Frank produced. And I was wondering, do you have any? Is there a key recollection that you have of spending time with Frank, or a learning or an experience that is worth sharing?
Yes, I mean, there's a lot that we learned from Frank. What a great guy, a humble man. In the first place, people should know that the way we picked any producer when we had producers, different ones come in, Jimmy Einer, Todd Rundgren,
Sure.
you know, Zappa. We had a hat with all these names in there, folded up. Shake that thing up, hold it up in the air, and one of us would reach up in there and pull a name out. And that's how we did it. And when,
No, really?
yeah, dude. And then here it is, Frank Zappa. I go, oh my God, Zappa, do you think he even know that, would he come here? Would he listen to our music even to see if maybe he wanted to? And then when he got to Michigan, it was wow. It was a humbling thing for him because he's, LA boy. He's up there in that big purple house with the pink shutters.
Immoral.
Yeah, man. And we had too many songs for the album. Back then, your vinyl, you could only put so many minutes on
Yep.
that vinyl. He says, so we're going to have to get rid of two or three songs here. He said, what about this song, Don't Let 'Em Take Your Gun? I said, no, 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 no. That song is staying, dude. I said, if it only going to contain one song, it'll be that song. And he goes, wow, dude. He says, why are you so adamant about this? And I said, have you ever shot a gun? He says, no. I said, what do you know about guns? Well, I know that they kill people and all this. I said, no, 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 no. I said, let me tell you something about guns. And I went in at bathroom and I keep these Constitution, little pocket Constitution. So I read him the Second Amendment of the Bill of Rights. And I said, now, Frank, what is there about the word necessary that you do not understand? It was like, boom, the light went on. He's all of a sudden, now he wants to shoot a gun. Now he's confessing that what he knew was prejudice passed along from somebody else who didn't know. They didn't really know. And he says, if you got a dirty Harry, because do you want to shoot a gun? He
Dirty.
says, "Do you have a dirty Harry?" I said, "Yes, I've got a Smith and Wesson Model 29. It's a dirty Harry, nickel dirty Harry with a 4-inch barrel. It's a badass gun." I said, "I will go get it. You stay right here." So I go over to the farm. I grab my gun. I put some 44 special shells in my pocket. I didn't want him to shoot the Magnum shells because you if that's going to be the first gun you shoot, it shouldn't be a 44 mag, especially a 4-inch Model 29 Smith. you know, so it's a lot less recoil, less powder, less, bang. And after you can dry fire the Smith because it's got a floating firing pin on the hammer, and it won't destroy it. A lot of times, people in the older guns you couldn't dry fire them because it would break the firing pin. But anyways, I was showing him, and he would dry fire the weapon. And as he finally got it, and the sight picture of the front blade being, in
Yep.
the same parallel as the back blades on that sight, and having both eyes open, focusing on that front blade, and your back sight and your target are out of focus. You can still line them up because they're in your peripheral vision. And so he's doing this. He's squatting down a little bit, taking the breath, letting it half out, and then squeezing it off. I said, man, if you can do that, what you are doing right there, if you can remember that and that can be your muscle memory, you'll hit your target. I said, let me go put some targets up on the hill. He says, no, man. He says, you got any cans? I want to shoot some cans like they do in the movies. Hell yeah, we got cans. So I get some beer cans and stick them out on the hill. And the first shot out of that gun, he's down there and he's got the muffs on because it's still loud. And everybody's standing in the parking lot with their fingers in their ears, waiting for Zappa to shoot this gun. And he hit that can dead nuts at about 35, 40 paces. It was a good distance for a novice shooter for his first shot to be that far away and nail that son of a bee dead nuts right in the center. He's got the gun like this. And he turns around. Did you guys see that? And we're ducking, you know. We're like, Zap, gun safety, dude. Gun safety. It was a great experience. He became a life member of the National Rifle Association as a result to his trip to Michigan. And we're proud to have introduced him to something that put a grin on that boy. I'm not kidding you. When he hit that can, I wish I could have got that picture right then because his eyes were this big. It's like, oh shit, did you see that? It
Amazing.
was wonderful.
Classic, man. Well, Mark, I really appreciate this. You have amazing stories, amazing history. Congrats on the new record, and maybe in the future we'll have a part two. And I appreciate it all, brother.